Okay, so I came prepared. I have a lot of notes. And then I listened to the words of the opening song. Because the first words are, "You are sacred love." And this month the focus is on acceptance. Simply that statement of "You are sacred love." And there's a dance performance going on along with my presentation. Simply be who you are, wherever you are, when you are. Thank you. Okay, the first words of the song, "You are sacred love." And then Connie did the opening prayer. And the pronoun that stuck out for me is that you used the word I. And it was another expression of the truth of who we are. And then as I sat in that seat here, looking at the flowers as we were singing the last part after the meditation, I noticed the flowers are so beautiful, and the different colors are not competing with one another. I don't believe that the flowers are there thinking, "I wish I looked like you. Oh, I'm too big. I'm too small." And then I noticed against the wall the shadow. And it was a reminder to me that in self-acceptance, it's accepting the bloom and it's accepting the shadow. The shadow as the invitation to expand and deepen our capacity to be mighty expressions of love. And so as we think about acceptance, this morning I listened to last week's message, and I was struck by the definition that was given. I'm sorry that I don't recall his name. Andy was willingly receiving. To willingly receive what is, to stop being against what is with a desire for life to be different, for the circumstance to be different. And so I'm a firm believer that the way that we accept ourselves and what is going on at any particular moment in our life is that our hearts must be open. And so I have a reminder for open hearts. I have to walk around with the mic. So, and some of you who have been here when I've spoken before, and maybe only been here because I give out charms, although I really don't believe that, is this will look familiar to you because once before I gave out something like this, but it's a little different. So if anybody's disappointed, "Oh, I already got this one. What did I come here for today?" It's a little bit different. So I was thinking about a lot during the past 2 months about acceptance. And I was noticing, as I mentioned when I spoke briefly about the workshop that I'm doing, as I was driving here this morning, I came down from Massachusetts yesterday, thinking, it's such a gorgeous day. Could I make it rain somehow so that people will want to be here after the service? And I kind of laughed at myself, how we see something and it doesn't necessarily look like what we want it to look like. Or any perfectionists in the room? Or it's not as perfect as we think it should be. And then somebody gives us a compliment about it, and then we tell about the spot on it, or, my hair will look better. Well, mine's very long now, but my hair will look better once it grows out a bit. How often in the course of the day do we not accept what's right before us. And some of you have heard me say this before. I like to think of life often in terms of my dreams, or in terms of a desire to feel a certain way or be a certain way, that I just want to get there. Anybody else just want to be there? Don't want to have to go through, but just want to be there? And what occurred to me a few years ago is we really need to think about it like a GPS. In order to get to your desired location, you must put in the current location. Because if you don't, guess what? There's a good chance that you're not going to get to where you want to go. And so, what is it that we have to accept? Well, it starts with accepting the truth of who we are, that we heard in Connie's opening prayer, that is the message of the song of sacred love. You are, you are, you are, you are. I am, each one of us, each one sitting in your seat is sacred love, is sacred peace. And it doesn't mean that your nails have to be a certain length, you have to weigh a certain amount, the temperature has to be a certain temperature, your relationship has to look this way, your bank account has to look this way. Right now, at this very moment, you are a mighty expression of love. Yeah, there are shadows that block it sometimes, and that appear larger than the dream. The shadows surface as an invitation to make a new choice, to have a new thought. And so, this morning, when I was thinking about what do I want to say that really captures this idea for me, and it's actually something that Marianne Williamson wrote many years ago. Some of you may be familiar with it. Some of you may say, oh yeah, I forgot that. I ask you to open your inner ear, to open the ear of your heart in sacred union with your mind as you allow these words to take deeper root and to bloom more magnificently in your life. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And these are our marching orders. And so, what does it mean to truly accept ourselves? What is it that we're actually accepting? So, one thing that we're accepting is that we are made in the image of God. We are made in the image of love. And being made in the image of God means that we have access to all of the power, all of the energy that exists based on what we focus our attention on, what we believe. And what are our beliefs? Our beliefs are simply thoughts that we've thought over and over and over, and then over and over and over again, charged with emotional energy, spoken of with authority. You are the author of them, and then acted on with conviction, acted on with faith. What we also have to accept is that we are co-creative partners with an energy. You know, when somebody speaks to you, just when I started reading Marianne Williamson's words, I had a moment when I got the chills. You know, that to me is a demonstration of the energy that is moving through me. For me, that's an energy of truth. There's something that's touching me deeply inside my being, and I can feel it. There's no question about it. So we're co-creative partners with the loving energy of the universe. And what that means, it's a universe. There is one verse, and the verse is yes. The loving energy of the universe says yes to whatever our dominant vibration is. I had an experience last night. I was at a dinner party, and the host was looking for something, and she couldn't find it. And I said to her, well, here's the prayer I use. I say, reveal yourself. And I've done it for so long that that word and that idea, that concept, has a great power. So she said, reveal yourself. And her very next words were, well, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. I said, well, then you're not going to see it. Because it is our thoughts charged with emotional energy that direct our eyes of what to see. Have you ever had the experience of can't find your keys? And so you walk around, say, your house. I don't know where they are, I don't know where they are, I don't know where they are. You go find your old set, another set of keys. You come back later and they're on the table that you had passed numerous times, but your eyes didn't know to see them. Something else that we must accept is that each one of us, our lives are an ever unfolding story. And we're the writers of the story. We are characters in the story. We direct this movie of our life. We do the casting of the movie of our life. And yet so many of us don't see the power, don't accept the power we have to influence that movie. And so when I first learned this concept many, many years ago, when I studied, some of you may know his work, he wrote the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. He was talking with us. I was in this group for a few years with him, and he said, you know, you're all artists, and your master creation is the story of your life, the movie of your life. And what I realized is I had given myself a supporting role in my life. I hadn't made myself the star of my life. Now, for any of you who have ever experienced codependency, we're giving someone else the power to determine how I'm going to feel, what I'm going to think, how I'm going to see something. So it occurred to me, I better put myself into a starring role in my life. And so at any moment, we have the opportunity to make up a new story. And the title of the story of my life is I'm a Mighty Expression of Love. And I want to share something about that. The first time I went to many, many workshops in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. I led many, many workshops in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s. And in all of these workshops, I was looking for something outside of me, that this person, this teacher would know something. And during one of the workshops, it may have been EST, it may have been whatever else I went to, we had to come up with a statement for our life. And I came up with, I'm a mighty expression of love. And then in a small group, we had to stand up and take a stand for that. And this is how I said that the first time out loud. I'm a mighty expression of love. Because I was embarrassed about this good thing. If I was talking about what was wrong with me and how I wasn't worthy and how I wasn't enough or I was too much, that I had no problem having eye contact with somebody about. And I'd get a lot of support for, oh yeah, I know what you mean. Or sometimes not support, sometimes I get a lot of interruptions. Oh, you think you have a bad story, let me tell you mine. But I'm so aware I was embarrassed. What was I fearful of? Well, I think that some of the fear was other people would know that wasn't true. Well, they're busy thinking about it about themselves. What I can assure you is each one of us is thinking more about ourselves, or we're thinking what we think someone else is thinking, but we're still thinking it. That energy is still moving through my body. And so I encourage you to get a title for this unfolding story of your life, whatever it is for you. Put it someplace where you can see it. Because I don't know about you, but I need a lot of reminders. And so I wear things that remind me. I wear a bracelet that has an open heart to remind me. Today I'm wearing earrings that are sparkly to remind me it's okay to sparkle. I don't have to be a serious reverend here. And so our work, and I must say, in this day and age, I believe it's a political act for each one of us to say yes to ourselves, which doesn't mean that we're going to be walking on water all the time. It doesn't mean that the shadow won't be there. Because what I've learned in painting, I started painting in March of this year, is that when I put the shadow in the painting, the image stands out more. It helps the image. It's not something to get rid of. It's something to say, yes, shadow, thank you for sharing, and I choose. I choose to see the beauty of the blooms. I choose to see the beauty of who I am. And I choose to have the courage to express this. And that's the challenge of self-acceptance. To express what's true for us. To allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Because while it's often uncomfortable to be vulnerable in voicing what we experience shame about, it's often more uncomfortable to express our love. I'm going to leave you with a story I heard on NPR as I was driving here yesterday. The woman is a neuroscientist from a Japanese family. Her parents were born in Japan. She was born here in the US. And what she noticed as an adult is that her family never expressed their love in words to one another. There was support, there was food on the table, they lived in a lovely place, they supported her education, but those weren't words that were said. There was much more distance. And so her parents became much older and their health was failing, and she noticed one day that she really wanted to express that. She really wanted to say to her mother in a phone conversation before they hung up the phone, I love you. But she felt uncomfortable about it. This isn't what goes on in my family. So she decided that that would be too much of a leap to just say it at the end of a phone call. So she said to her mother during a phone call one day, would it be okay with you if I tell you that I love you at the end of the call? We're not a family who uses those words. And her mother said to her, I'd love to hear that. And now she was faced with actually having to say it. And she was feeling really uncomfortable. And while the conversation was going on, she was thinking much more about, well, I'm going to say it at this phone call? Or am I going to wait for the next phone call? She took a deep breath, and before the phone call ended, she uncomfortably, not the way I said, I'm a mighty expression of love, but with a little louder, she said, I love you, Mom. Talk to you tomorrow. And that was the start of it. So when you notice that impulse in you to express your kindness, your compassion, your love, take the risk, even if it starts in a small voice and with no eye contact. Thank you so much for accepting me.